Okay, so in this video we're going to be looking at reverse percentages, specifically some non-calculator questions. This is because this topic has appeared in the non-calculator paper on a number of occasions, so that's why we're going to go over it. What I've got 5 examples total, and I'm going to show 2 different methods for tackling them non-calculator. So the first 2, I'm going to do one method, and then the last 3, I'm going to do another method. They both have their benefits, but there are limitations in both of them, which is why it's good to be aware of both ways to tackle this type of question. So let's jump straight to it. So after a year, the value of Becky's car has dropped by 30%. If the car now has a value of 4,606, what was its value last year? So again, we know what it is currently, so we know what it is in the present, and it's talking about the past. We're trying to find out the past. That's why this is a reverse percentage question. So I'm going to start off same as before. So I always start with my 100%, and I need to take away the 30% because it's dropped. So I'm dealing with 70%. So I've got 70% equals £4,606. And now normally I would try to go down to 1%, but that would mean dividing this by 70, which is possible, but it's a little bit awkward to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to think about some of my key percentages. So the reason why these percentages here are key are because they are really easy to manipulate to bring them back up to 100%. And to do that, I multiply 5 by 20 to get to 100. I multiply 10 by 10, 20 by 5, 25 by 4, and 50 by 2. So these percentages are going to help me out massively with the non-calculator, because as long as I can get down to one of them, I can then return back up to 100% really nice and easily. So I'm dealing with 70%. And the only 2 I can get to is the 5% or the 10%. And I know it's going to be one of these 2 possibly. Because I end with a 0, I can definitely be divided down to 10%. But I can also be divided down to 5%. So those are my options. Now, if I was to go down to 5%, I would need to divide that number by 14, which is a bit awkward. Even I'm not massively familiar with my 14 times table, and it would take me time to do that with this number over here. But to get down to 10%, all I need to do is divide that by 7. So 10%, that is what I'm going for. That is probably the easier one for me to do. And in general, when you have a choice, most of the time, it's going to be easier going for the higher percentage option. So I'm going to divide that by 7. So I'm going to set up a division. 7 goes into 4, 0 times the remainder of 4. 7 goes into 46, 6 times the remainder of 4. 7 goes into 40, 5 times the remainder of 5. And then 7 goes into 56, 8 times. So I'm dealing with 658. And now I can quite happily get up to 100% by multiplying by 10. So my final answer is going to be 6,580. Okay, so let's take a look at another question working with this method here. So Harry gets his height measured every 5 years. This year, his height was measured to be 174. And I'm actually going to highlight this year bit here as well, which is 20% more than his previous measurement. How tall was he 5 years ago? So this question here, this type of one catches people out a lot. They read the number of years, they read the 5 years, and they instantly jump into compound interest mode. But be careful. We are talking about how the fact we know this year, so we know the present, but we are asking about the past. And because we're asking about the past, that is why it's a reverse percentage. Don't get caught out by this bit here. So let's go and start to tackle this. So starting with 100%, it's 20% more, so I'm adding 20%. So that's going to equal 120%. So 120% is going to equal that 174 centimeters. So ones I could possibly do, well, again, because it ends with a 0, I know I can definitely do the 5. I know I can do the 10. But in this case, I can also do 20. So I've got 3 to pick from. So the 10, that's probably my easiest one to identify. That I need to divide by 12 for. I'm not massively familiar with my 12 times table. I can do it, definitely. But there's definitely an easier one for me to do. To get down to 5%, I would need to divide by 24. That's definitely not what I want to do. But to get to 20%, I would just need to divide 120 by 6. That I'm totally happy with. I know my 6 times table really well, so that's the one I'm going to go for. So to get down to 20, I'm going to divide by 6. And so here, I'm going to divide by 6. So I've got 174. So 6 goes into 1, 0 times the remainder of 1. 6 goes into 17 twice, a remainder of 5. And then 6 goes into 54 9 times. And then to get to 100%, I need to multiply 20 by 5. And so here, I'm going to multiply this by 5. And I'm going to do another little chimney sum just to help me out with my multiplication. So 5 times 9 is going to be 45. 5 times 2 is going to be 10. Add the 4, it's going to be 14. So I've got 145 centimeters, and that was his height 5 years ago. Okay, so that is my first method. Let's now look at the next method, and we'll quickly address why we can't use our little guide that we have. So a shop is having a 22% off sale. The table now costs £312. What did it cost originally? So again, starting my setup same as before. So it's off, so I'm going to take away. So I'm going to have 78%. And if I look, I don't know what I did there. I was trying to be smart and paste the thing. If I look back at my my percentages, I'm dealing right now with 78. And 78, I can't get into any of those at all, not easily anyway. So that's not going to work too well in this case. So I'm going to show you another method now to help us tackle this question. So I've got my 78 equals 312. And I'm actually going to be dealing with going to my 1%. But I'm not going to set up a division like this. That is a bit mental. I'm not going to bother with that. What I'm going to do instead is that I'm just going to keep adding 78 until I hit the number I need. So I'm going to do 78, add 78. So that's my first one, that's my second. So 8 add 8 is going to be 16. 7 add 7 is 14, add the 1, that's going to be 15. Then I'm going to add on another 78. So this is my third one. So 8 add 6, that is going to be 14. And then 5 add 7 is 12, add the 1 is 13. And then 1 add that, carry on, it's going to be 2. Still not where I want to be, so I'm going to add on another 78. 4 add 8 is going to be 12. 3 add 7 is going to be 3 add 7 is going to be 10. Add the 1, that's going to be 11. Then 2, adding that, carrying the 1 is 3. And so I have now reached my goal, because my goal was to get to 312, and here is 312. So I've effectively divided by 78, which is 4, because I had four lots of 78 total. And now, to get to 100, I just multiply the 4 by 100, so that is going to be 400. There we go. So yeah, so essentially I have divided by 78. I did do that, but I just did it in a slightly longer method. And then I multiplied my answer by 100. Now, obviously, this comes with the risk of if you do something a little wrong with your addition, you won't get as nice of an answer. You'll go past the answer, and if you go past it, then you know you need to go back through and look at it, unless it is a decimal, and I will come to that in a short while. But this is how to tackle it when we've got a slightly more awkward percentage, when it's not so easy for us to get to that 100%. So let's take a look at another example now then. So an annual event has a 12% increase in attendance this year compared to last year. Let's highlight that this year. This year, there were 6,720 attendees. How many were there last year? So, setting up, same as before. We've had a 12% increase, so I'm adding 12%. So that's going to give me 112%. So I've now got 112% equals 6,720. And I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to just keep adding on my 112%. I could, if I wanted to, I could have divided it to get to 2%, but I'm not going to bother with that. That I just think is a little too awkward. So, adding on my 112s, it's going to be 224. So I'm going to add on another 112. And I recommend keeping count of how many you've done each time you do this, because it is easy to suddenly get lost. So I'm going to add on another 112. So this is number 4. So I'm going to have to carry the 3, add the 1. That's going to give me 4, but adding on that 1 underneath, 5. Add on another 112. And then add on another 112. Ooh, getting squished. something has gone wrong with my answer. Where did I go wrong? Because what I've just noticed when I do this is I've got this 674, and I can see here, and I was going to show you a little trick. That's a 2, but I've got 4 there, but the rest is kind of similar. So I've made an error somewhere. Let's take a look. Where have I been done? Here. 4 add 2 is not 8, Miss Walkington. So let's just reverse a little on this. Urgh. That's annoying, but I've had to redo this video so many times, I'm not starting at the beginning again. There we go, so it's a 6 there now, so I add on that 112. So I'm now going to have 448. So add on another 112, this is our number 5. So now, this is where I'm going to have my carry. For the 1, it's going to give 5, add that carry, that's going to be 6. And that's 5. Add on another 112. 6 add that 1 is going to give me 7. There we go. So at this point here, if I look at what I want, I'm really close to that. I've got basically the exact same idea. So all I need is that 0 added on. So essentially, rather than 6, I need 60. And so that is why when I divide this by 112, that is going to be 60. So pay attention when we have essentially the exact same thing, but we are just needing that additional 0 added on. And apologies about the error earlier, but that it shows where this method does have an issue, because you can get into a sort of rhythm and make dumb mistakes like I just did. So multiplying that by 100, now I'm going to have 100% is equal to 6,000. So last year there were 6,000 attendees. Okay. Last one then. So the value of a brand new phone decreases by 38% after a year. So got 100. Oh, let's actually highlight it first. So decreases by 38%. If a phone's value after 1 year is 341, what was its value when new? So again, it's a year old now. We're asking about when it was new, so that's going to be in the past, and that's why it's a reverse percentage. So firstly, we are decreasing by 38%. So I've got 100% decrease by 38%. So I'm dealing with 72%. Not 72, 62. Why am I making so many dumb mistakes now? So 62% is equal to £341. And so I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to do my little addition. So I'm doing 62, add 62. So that's going to be 4, that'll be 12, so 124. Adding on another 62. So I'm going to have 6. 2 of the 6 is going to give me 8. 1. So add on another 62. 2 add 6 is going to give me 8. 8 add 6, that is going to give me 14. The 1 add that carry, it's going to give me 2 there. Add on another 62. And I know this method is a bit boring, but it is sort of a fail-safe when you're not wanting to get down to one of our percentages to work with. 8 add the 2 is going to give me 10. 4 to 6 is 10. Add the 1 is going to give me 11. 2 add that carry is going to give me 3. I'm going to add another 62. Now, at this point, we have suddenly gone past our 341. We've gone past it, so we need to be somewhere in between the 5 and the 6. So what I'm going to do quickly, I'm just going to take, let's just move this up quickly. So I want to be in between that 5 and the 6. And generally, 9 times out of 10, I'm wanting half of what I have. So if I look quickly at that 310, if I take that away from 341, what I'm going to find that I'm left with is 31. And if I was to half 62, half of 62 is going to be that 31. So that means on top of the 5 that I had before, I want half of what I am dividing by right now. So that means when I divide this by 62 to get to 1%, this bit here is going to be 5.5. So let me just talk over that again quickly. If at this stage here, you then massively exceed what your goal was, then 9 times out of 10, it's a half amount that is required. But it is always good to check by doing this subtraction and seeing if your leftover is half of your percentage. And now I can finish my question really nice and easy and do 100%. So multiplying that by 100. So it was originally £550. And that's how to tackle these non-calculator. So 2 different methods to go by. Obviously, one is much more straightforward than the other. This one here is much cleaner, it's much easier to use. And you can, if you wanted to, work with the 2%. It's just a lot of the time, it's quite a big number that you need to divide by to get to 2%. But just be aware of that. That's also another option that you can use. Let me know if there are any issues, and good luck with the